Hi, welcome back. This episode is called Finding Love Again Within the Marriage, of course. There are reasons you got married in the first place. In the beginning, I'm sure you were so sweet to each other, bending over backwards to make the other one happy. But as a lot of us know, as we go on, we get sloppy and our bad habits get worse. And before we know it, negative energy hovers over the family and the house and each other. One thing we do in Kundalini Yoga is it balances the nervous system. So it helps you to be calm, so it helps you overcome some of those bad habits. So if I told you one of the secrets to finding love again was to change your habits, what would you think? You'd be like, me, I was like, what? I have to change my bad habits and that will bring more love into the relationship? Doesn't he just show up with hearts and flowers and make everything wonderful and bend over backwards and apologize and kiss me and tell me how much he loves me? No, that didn't happen. That did not happen. He was going through his own feelings of hurt and what he did to me, guilt and all that. So that didn't happen. But what happened is I changed a lot of my habits, and that's when the love came back. Interesting, right? So here are some of the things that I did, because it was very hard for me to admit that I needed to make changes. You know, it's tricky because sometimes you start the ball rolling and they will follow suit. So here are some of the habits I am still working on. Is to not be manipulative. So stop being so manipulative and controlling to get my way. Do more things for myself. So I don't know about you, but I'm kind of like a scattered person. My mind is going 100 miles an hour. I'm a multitasker to the max. But again, with the Kundalini, I don't mean to be pushing this too hard, but the Kundalini keeps me more focused. So therefore, I'm more organized. And when you're more organized, you're not so scattered. And when you're not so scattered, it makes it easier to get things done. And I can sit on the computer and work on the website. It's not too late, baby, and write chapters of the book. It's not too late, baby. And I can do this for hours where I never could do that before. That is a big shift in me. And when I'm not manipulative and making him do things for me because I didn't get them done because I was too scattered, that's where the love thing really comes in. I'm not asking him to do a million things for me anymore. I can go to the post office myself. I can do this myself. I can move that myself. It's great. Stop punishing. If I'm upset, I try to get over it. And you're supposed to give yourself 90 seconds, but sometimes I need a lot more than 90 seconds to get over if I'm mad at something. But at least now I realize, like if it takes me more than 90 seconds or 9 hours, at least I realize what I'm doing. I'm punishing him. He did something that meant the screaming thing, and I have to get over it. At least I know it. I'm not just standing there getting all upset. I try to learn something from the experience, and what does it say about me? Which goes back to your habits. I offended someone the other day, and sometimes I'm tired of always enabling people that are blaming other people. Sometimes I wish we were programmed to be a lot less sensitive. It can be exhausting, always tiptoeing around everyone's feelings in life. Stop suffering. That's another thing. Take action instead. Because you could sit there and you could just suffer. Breathe, and also meditation. If you meditate for a longer time, which is hard for me, you know. But sometimes I'll lay there and be like, I should be meditating. No, I think I'll just sit here and suffer. But at least I realize I'm doing it. So you know, things take time. It takes time to break habits, but awareness is a good first step. You know, I'm not perfect. I have to be gentle with myself too. The other one is stop complaining to others. The victim I talked about. Stop playing the victim, because you get a lot of attention when you play the victim, and it satisfies your ego. The victim is also not being in the present moment. Talk less and listen more. I mean, you already know what you have to say, and it's interesting when you just like shut off and you take a break from talking and you hear what other people have to say. This would be a perfect time if anybody wants to join in an exercise where you might want to sit and get a pen and a paper and write down some of the habits that you think that you'd like to change. And a lot of them don't tell parents, I said this, are from them. Our parents had habits too. My mother had a grievance where she was constantly complaining about my father. And I think that I hear this in a lot of young women today with children. The ex-husband's always the jerk. You know, maybe I always feel like a lot of people are too young and they don't realize they're strong enough. They're just not ready to think that they could even be the one to dig in, get out their shovel and dig into their spouse's issues and get to the crux of the problem. But maybe, what if you are that person? What if you really could do that and help them? I mean, chances are they love you and that's why they married you and they want to stay together. So you could possibly be that person. So you make a list of your habits that you want to change. Here is an actual argument. I wrote this down that my husband and I had. Ready? My husband said to me, "Nothing is ever good enough for you. You complain about everything." And this is what I said. If you did it right in the first place, maybe I wouldn't have to complain. So that's what I mean about it. After years and years of being married, you get sloppy. You don't treat each other nicely anymore. But you know, life happens. Death happens. He lost a younger sister. I lost my mother. I lost my father. I lost my favorite aunt. Stress happens. Anxiety happens. Resentment builds up until there is no space or energy for kindness to flourish. When we show someone love and compassion and give them a loving space to heal, they in turn will be much happier people. You know, think about if it is you're the wife and it's the husband. If you do that, don't you want your husband to be a kinder, gentler person for you and your family? Chances are they feel bad enough about it and they just want to get past it. And I still have a lot of anger and resentment. That's why I go to all those classes towards what my husband did and all the years we lost together because of his actions. I have another friend who lost years with her husband. It was something different. He became addicted to painkillers, and she lost years with him. And I talked with her a lot, and I wouldn't get sucked into like, oh, he owes me. And you know, now they're back together and they're stronger than ever. And I kind of hope I had a little something to do with it, you know, because I wouldn't buy into what probably all her other girlfriends were like. He does owe you, that's right, you know. That's kind of just being a mean girl. So I'm really happy they're together. In the book, It's Not Too Late, Baby, I decided to write a chapter called The Ugly, Nasty Truth. And I listed all the bad things that I did when I was younger. I have some really horrible things, and I'm not going to say them right now. So if you want to know what they are, they're pretty juicy. You can buy the book, It's Not Too Late, Baby, and you'll see them all. But that helped me. Like, I'm not that perfect either. You know, I wasn't married at the time, but, you know, like I said, my husband had past trauma from his childhood, that when that other trauma laid on top of it, boom, you know, it just went off. So I don't want to throw things in his face, and when I feel that way, that's when I try to go back to breathing and meditating and try to let it go, because really underneath it is maybe I am angry with myself for being so naive for all those years. If you live with someone who's depressed, nasty, or grouchy, sometimes it starts rubbing off on you. All of a sudden you live in fear and you've kind of lost yourself. This is what was happening to me. It was like we had such a sham of a marriage. This is when you need to try to turn it around. There's a quote I recently stumbled on, and it applies to grown-ups as well as children. The kids who need the most love will ask for it in the most unloving of ways. So if you replace that with, you know, the men or the women, because it could be the opposite way. I have a good friend he's more like me and the wife is more like my husband. You know, the people who need the most love will ask for it in the most unloving of ways. So next time your spouse is angry or nasty, just think about that quote and take a deep breath and smile. We're all just little kids underneath it all. Put out some cheese and crackers. They're probably starving. For some unknown reason, they do not know how to open up a cabinet or a refrigerator and feed themselves. So you have this cranky person that is hungry and their blood sugar's dropped, and who needs that when you're trying to do good things? Don't ask them what they need for food. Just put food in front of them. Okay? And then Google the nearest Kundalini yoga center and start going. It'll work really quickly. If they won't go to this class, a yoga class or something, or they won't meditate, you just do it yourself. That's what I did. I just did it myself, and the change in me, it was irresistible. And you know, a lot of the women I do yoga with, their husbands don't go, but maybe they don't have these deep-seated problems and this trauma. But he followed suit, and he saw the change in me, and it was irresistible. When I went into rescue mode, I had to save both of us. I took both oars and rowed as fast and as hard as possible. I did so many things to heal all at the same time. So the advice I could give you is let the love in. It's quite astounding where we are now in our relationship. He's kind of a picky, moody guy, and there are times when he's very quiet and cranky. But for the first time in many years, I have his love and his attention. Sometimes it's poking, his respect, and all his time. I have learned that hardly anything, and certainly no one person, is perfect. It still hurts, but I'm hoping time will heal everything.